Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, there's no doubt that revenge is a singular emotion. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with, once more, as always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I am the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And you know, if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do, because let's face it, you're listening right now. And if you are, hit subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, give us the old 5-star rating, ding the bell on your podcast provider of choice. We're available pretty much everywhere. Places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and plus we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on the social media. We're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Letterboxd, the TikTok, the Threads, probably a few other places that I'm forgetting about, Instagram, at In the Seats, for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it even more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So do us that kindness and please pay us a visit. On this episode, boys and girls, you guessed it, we got another shot of Sunrise, which is in theaters now. Well, it's some theaters, but also primarily on video on demand platforms. If you didn't already know, it is starring the one and only Alex Pettyfer and Guy Pearce, and it's a vampire story wrapped in a little bit of good old-fashioned revenge. It's really, really an interesting piece of genre cinema because it's not leaning on the tropes that you expect it to, and it's just a brutal, brutal character study of good versus evil, and it was a really, really a compelling watch. And like I said, it is on video on demand platforms now, but we had the unique pleasure of sitting down and talking with the star of the film, the one only Alex Pettyfer, who plays this mysterious ex-cop, Fallon, who returns to the scene of a horrific crime in this small town, only to discover that he's a bit of a dark visitor and a vampire who feeds on blood and fear. But after he makes friends and is brought back to health, this instinctive killer has to change gears a little bit and look at straight old-fashioned revenge and redemption for himself. And it's really, really a great little character study that both Alex, and Guy Pearce pull off rather brilliantly, because there is this really fun, duel between these two fantastic actors, chewing the scenery left, right, and center. And it's a lot of fun to watch. But I talked with Alex about just getting the part and working on the film and working with Guy, and so very much more. And like I said before, Sunrise is available on all video on demand platforms now. So please do go check it out. But first, enjoy our talk with Alex Pettyfer, because between you and me, it's a pretty darn good one. But I mean, Alex, first off, man, just thank you so much for the time today. And I mean, congrats on the movie, man. It's a hell of a piece of work. I absolutely loved it.
Oh, thanks. Thank
No,
you.
I guess my first question is like, I mean, walk me through, I guess, sort of the initial reaction seeing this character Fallon, because I mean, I can imagine on one end, there's going to be a little bit of hesitation playing a sort of quote unquote vampire, but on the other end, man, this guy is not sort of leaning into those genre beats. He is this like really like tortured, brooding kind of guy who's like walking back into this world, and it's just a really fascinating thing to sort of see this all play out.
Yeah, I think for me, when I had like initial conversations with Andrew, I said I'm not making a vampire movie. I was like, I love vampire movies. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm fully immersed into those films, Bram Stoker's Dracula, like, but I said this film has so many different layers to it. I think the adversity that this family has to go through, overcoming death, and and then just this common thread of how we deal with fear throughout the film. Guy Pearce kind of running away from death, then the family dealing with a death, and then my character being death itself.
Yeah.
If you can use that as a metaphor. And so, yeah, I think that Andrew really, I think he did an incredible job to the material that was given to him, not only visually, but then the character arcs and just the tone of the film. It's very, there's a like a meditative element when you watch the film in its pacing, and yeah, I'm very proud of the film.
Well, and I mean, with the characters as well, I'd say, because I mean, your character really has this sort of very sort of straight emotional line and where he's going and where he's been, but you have to play opposite someone like Guy, who's almost literally bouncing off the walls, as his character. I mean, it's wild. Like, talk to me a little bit about sort of that interplay, because really, you're two sides of the coin.
Yeah, well, it's difficult to be subtle when you have Guy who is making these character choices that are drawing you in to his. I mean, he's such a powerful actor. He's
Yeah,
drawing you into his, I guess, his energy, his
for sure. Yeah.
aura, and so that's sometimes a struggle. When we did a film prior to Sunrise called Infernal Machine, and I was the outlandish
Right.
character that could make these bold choices, and he was the subtle character. And we talked about it. We talked when we were on the set of Sunrise how the duality of both films had literally, we've gone like that and swapped over. But I think the contrast makes for a really beautiful statement, and I think that the character that I play in Sunrise, this ominous kind of overbearing presence, silent presence, plays more into the theme of the film than a character arc, which is nice. It's not like there's not a pressure for me as far as like what is the character that is going from A to Z. He's already lived his journey. He's more of an induced metaphor into this bigger theme of the film.
For sure, absolutely. And I mean, I'm curious, like, obviously, when you're building a character like this, how much does sort of the environment that you're working in play a factor? Because I mean, I was lucky enough to talk to Andrew, and I mean, he was saying, like, no, a lot of it was in camera. Like, the mist was coming along the moors, and I mean, everything was happening, and it was just, it had that aura to it.
Yeah, I mean, it really, he's right. We shot in Northern Ireland, which was nice because my dad lives in Northern Ireland, so I was around family, and yeah, you would wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and the mist is coming over the rolling hills, and the sun is rising, and you kind of have this really beautiful light. Yeah, and the setting of where we filmed was yeah, we were really lucky, like really lucky.
No, I mean, I'm curious for you because I mean, obviously, you've had such an interesting, career and like arc with all these different characters. And I mean, I'm kind of curious, like for you as an artist and a performer, because I mean, I know like you've managed to you did direct something, you've done some producing work. Like for you at this stage, like how do you see yourself? Like, are you an actor who wants to do more, or is it like how do you kind of, especially in this business, it feels like to survive, you need to sort of have the ability to try to do a little bit of everything. Like you can't just limit yourself to being like, no, I'm the actor. At the end of the day, really, you have to try to do more.
Yeah, but I think the industry is also changing. I
Yeah,
think we're coming to a point where there is like this collaborative experience where actors are wanting to direct and calling upon favors of friends of theirs, and this setting of streaming allowing artists to tell stories that might not necessarily have been able to be told if it was purely a theatrical release, gives this liberation. Just like Spotify or any one of those streaming services kind of changed the face of the music industry. I think we're going through a transition now, which is exciting.
for
So
sure. No, totally.
yeah, I don't know how I see the evolution of cinema happening, but I know that we're in the eye of whatever that shift is.
No, for sure. I agree with you 100%. Now, I mean, just to put a bow on this, it's a silly question, but it's one I always like to ask. Can you think back to the younger days? Was there a movie or a moment or a performance or something that you saw as young Alex that had the light bulb go off that made you want to get into this business?
To get into the business.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be in the business. I wanted to be
Oh,
I wanted to be a racing driver.
oh, really? Okay, fair enough.
So to answer your question, no. But I think for, by the way, it's -7. I'm in Germany. That's why I'm putting lip balm on. So I'm sorry if I'm being rude.
No, no,
Uh,
no.
uh, Film that inspired me, or like, I loved cinema. I love I like I know this might sound egotistical to say, but I am a true cinephile. Like, I used to just watch movie after movie after movie. I remember staying up at like 4 o'clock in the morning watching Once Upon a Time in America, and
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
I was like, my mom came in at 6:50 in the morning to take me to school, and I had just gone to sleep. Like, I would watch Deer Hunter at the age of like 14 with my friends who like also were cinephiles. But like, I had a friend of mine. He's a year older. I would go stay with him, and most kids would be playing video games and whatnot. And
Totally. Yeah.
he had like one. His room was like basically this size, and he
Mm.
had this single bed, and then I would put the duvet on the floor and a pillow, and he had his TV. We'd watch movies all night. And when I say we'd watch movies, I mean like we would watch Clockwork Orange or Deer Hunter, or Casablanca, or like and so by the time I was 17, 18 years of age, I had gone through most of America, like the early tradition of American cinema, and had moved on to European cinema, and like Alain Delon, and like I love film. So to ever comprehend that I would be a part of film was like not even a thought for me. I just loved it. It was an escapism. And so now, as like a 33-year-old man, to say that I get to dip my toe in some form to be a part of this creative industry, I feel very blessed.
You inhaled it all until the bright lights pulled you in, man. I absolutely love it. But I mean, honestly, man, your performance here in Sunrise is just fantastic. And I mean, I can't wait for more people to see the film. It's really a great piece of work. But again, just thank you for the work and thanks for the time today, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.